Good morning, students. I am Raman Gupta from Government College Bara, and in this video, we'll study the novel prescribed for our studies. The name of the novel is Train to Pakistan. We have done some points and some questions in the last video related to this novel, and in this video, we'll study some facts and some analysis of the novel. So let's begin. The first point is, as I have told earlier, the name of the author is Khushwant Singh, and as you all know that instead of depicting the partition in terms of only the political events surrounding it, Singh digs into a deep local focus, providing a human dimension which brings to the event a sense of reality, horror, and believability. So, when you will start reading this novel, you will find that every incident, every part of the novel is believable. It has been shown, all the events have been shown very realistically. So let's begin the analysis. The point we can discuss is social structure and cultural understanding among the people about the book. What do the people think about this book? In a relatively short book, the reader gets to know a lot of characters in detail. Examination of varied groups of people not only increases cultural and social understanding of that time and place, but also shows that the blame could not be placed on any one group. All were responsible. So, to whom should they make responsible for the whole incidents related to the partition? So the original quote is, Muslims said the Hindus had planned and started the killing. According to the Hindus, the Muslims were to blame. The fact is, both sides killed, both shot and stabbed, and speared and clubbed, both tortured, both raped. Mano Majra, the fictional village on the border of Pakistan and India in which the story takes place, is predominantly Muslim and Sikh. Singh shows how they lived in a bubble surrounded by mobs of Muslims who hate Sikhs and mobs of Sikhs who hate Muslims, while in the village they had always lived together peacefully. Villagers were in the dark about happenings of larger scope than the village outskirts, gaining much of their information through rumor and word of mouth. This made them especially susceptible to outside views. Upon learning that the government was planning to transport Muslims from Mano Majra to Pakistan the next day for their safety, one of the Muslims said, "What have we to do with Pakistan?" Actually, all the Muslims were not interested to go to Pakistan. We were born here, so were our ancestors. We have lived amongst Sikhs or as brothers. After the Muslims leave to a refugee camp from where they will eventually go to Pakistan, a group of religious agitators comes to Mano Majra and instills in the local Sikhs a hatred for Muslims and convinces a local gang to attempt mass murder as the Muslims leave on their train to Pakistan. So the whole event tells us, it shows that people who were living in that area were not enemy to each other, to one another, but the people who were prepared for creating disturbance came there and spread the feeling of separation, spread the feeling of religious separation, and so on, radicalism. So, this massacre, this all these incidents happened. In groups of people are examined on a closer level than their religious attachments, a more detailed social structure emerges. The structure were very thick, but it could be damaged. It was damaged by the people who came there from outside. Government officials were corrupt, manipulative of villagers, and could arrest anyone they choose for any reason. More often than not for their own benefit, they did just enough in terms of dealing with the dispute so that nobody could say that they did not do anything. The law enforcement was completely at the whim of the local government, meaning that in practice there was no law. Also, small amounts of educated people trickled in and out of villages, trying to instill in people democratic, communist, or other Western ideologies. Though the common people were turned off and confused by their unorthodoxy. When one such educated man was speaking to a villager about freedom, the villager explained, "Freedom is for the educated people who fought for it. We were slaves of the English. Now we'll be slaves of the educated Indians or the Pakistanis." This was the original, the actual state of common run of man. So he says that they have been slaves and will remain slaves. It doesn't make any difference to them who is their owner, who is their master. To better understand the situation surrounding the partition of India, Singh provides information about both religions involved. The book sheds light on the various religious practices of both Sikhs and Muslims in rural India. Singh describes daily life for individuals from both practices. For example, Khushwant Singh describes the practice of prayer for Muslims. How is the practice of prayer for Muslims? The mullah at the mosque. The priest is called mullah and he prays at the mosque, knows that it is time for the morning prayer. He has a quick wash, stands facing west towards Mecca with his fingers in his ears, cries in long sonorous notes, Allahu Akbar. Singh points out practices of Sikhs as well. The priest of the Sikh temple lies in bed till the mullah has called. Then he too gets up, draws a bucket of water from the well in the temple courtyard, pours it over himself, and intones his prayer in monotonous sing-song to the sound of splashing water. So this was the social analysis. Now, what do the moral message this play give? What the moral message this novel gives to the readers? The story is an extract from the novel published in 1956. It talks about how partition affected a small village where people from all religions and sects once lived in harmony. More than giving the details of partition, Singh has recounted what impact it had on people. In addition to giving an understanding of human actions and pointing out that everyone was responsible, Singh makes a background moral commentary which bubbles up through main characters in their thoughts and their actions. Hukam Chand is the district magistrate and one of the main characters in the story. It becomes apparent that he is a man in moral conflict who has probably used his power over the years with much corruption. He is often described with a dirty physical appearance as if he is overwhelmed with unclean actions and sins, and is just as often trying to wash himself of them, similar to Pontius Pilate after Christ was condemned. Hukam Chand's ethical issues are shown in one of the repeated encounters he has with two Gakas, which likely represent Muslims and Hindus in conflict, on the verge of fighting each other. When they start fighting, they fall right next to him and he panics. The guilt he gets from not helping when he has more than enough power to do so literally jumps onto him. Hukam Chand felt as if he had touched the lizards and they had made his hands dirty. He rubbed his hands on the hem of his shirt. It was not the sort of dirt which could be wiped off or washed clean. So, this was the actual difference, that the society was discriminated on the basis of their caste. The so called lower caste was believed to be untouchable, and this can be seen in the case of Hukam Chand when he feels that he had touched some Muslims or some lower caste of people, as he has touched some lizard or some dirty thing. So this was the moral message that the author Khushwant Singh wants to give, that train to Pakistan with its multiple gruesome and explicit accounts of death, torture, and rape for the public to read, makes the case that people do need to know about the bad. What is actually bad? There is no religion which creates the feeling of hate, but there are some people who create hate by taking the name of religion. So this was the root cause of the whole problem, and this can be seen in this novel. So in the next video I'll discuss some character sketches of the novel, which are very important for the examination point of view. So I hope that you will listen to this video, you will see this video, and if you have any problem you can ask me anytime. Thank you and have a nice day.